Hi, everybody, and welcome to NA Lit Chat. It's Thursday, January 15th. I'm Amy Evans, and this is the hour where we talk all about all the things that are happening in new adult literature and in the book world as a whole. I'm here tonight with St. Bende. Hey, St.
Hey Amy, how are you?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What is new in your corner of the world?
I just moved. I'm trying to get everybody settled in a new town, a new place, and next week I'm really eager to get back to work. Still been all family stuff, so I'm kind of itching to get started. But I'm trying to savor the time off and taking it slow. So, what about you?
I'm editing.
I feel like that's your answer lately.
It's just my answer to all the things. I'm editing. It's an Elsker spinoff series, but it's the first book that I feel like I've been editing forever. So
That's
it's
awesome.
going.
It's a big commitment. It's a big chunk to spin off a series that you've already put so much time in. But I think what we're learning over the past few months is that readers really like that. And it is one of the things you can do to kind of stay in their minds and hearts for the long haul. And that is what we are talking about tonight. How to make this a business over the long haul. I know a lot of people at the end of last year were feeling like 2014 was such a fast-paced, like do or die, get books out as quickly as possible because readers are so hungry. And that breakneck pace, I think, wore a lot of people down, especially when you couple that with the changes in Amazon and Kindle Unlimited and the different numbers in publishing and the huge numbers of books that came out. So tonight we've invited two amazing authors and community members here.
That we love, love, love.
We love them as people, we love them as writers, and we love them as friends. And they're going to tell us what the tips and tricks are for really making this a career and sticking in it for the long haul. I'd like to introduce S.M. Boyce and Lynn Rush. Hey, Boyce.
Ladies!
Hi
Hey, Lynn.
guys.
So happy to
And
be here.
we
I'm
are
so
so happy to
excited to pick y'all's brains. This is just, you guys are such a wealth of knowledge, and I swear I know Boyce, I pick her brain all the time, and Lynn, I'm really excited to have you on to do the same. Like you just know so much, and we are happy to be your sponges.
We so are, and I know that both of you guys have been really on point and really inspiring just in your casual conversations and tweets and posts about this lately, and just following your examples. So tell us what's new with you. I know you guys have both been very busy lately. Lynn, why don't you start? What's new? What do you have going on?
Well, of course, I'm always writing, and believe it or not, in all the history of my writing, I have never taken a whole month off, but I did. The month of December was nothing but reading, having fun, goofing around on Instagram. So I've been having a blast, but of course, several story ideas popped in. So now I'm a writing fool.
But that's good. That's what you need to make
Very.
that space, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. We had so much fun.
Do you find it easier to write after the break, or do you feel like it's a little harder to get back in the groove?
Well, I've never actually taken a break, believe it or not, which I'm sure will come up when we talk tonight a little bit about burnout. So it was actually pretty awesome to just decide, let go, and have fun. I had so much fun with my family. We were goofing around. I was new to Instagram, and let me tell you, I'm a junkie now. I'm probably behind the times, but I'm so addicted.
You're
So
my
I had
husband.
fun.
Oh my
Him
God.
too. He
And it
just
helps.
discovered Instagram in December, and he's a photographer. So he's like, "You mean I post a picture and like 120 people tell me it's good in 5 minutes? Where was I all
Totally.
this time?" I'm like, "Yeah, where were you all this
So
time?"
fun.
What about you, boys? What have you? You're up to a lot. I know you're up to a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So December was my month of overwhelm. And I reached it and I was like, oh, okay, I can't do this. But it was all in a good way because I joined a box set of 22 best-selling authors and we're releasing fresh content. It's called the Losing It box set. Comes out in February. I created
Losing
a,
it!
I know, it's so exciting. I
It's fun.
created a life-changing community for artists and authors of all kinds. And it's basically an online support group that lets you connect deeper to your art in ways that you really haven't had a chance to thus far. And it's all about accountability and support and keeping you away from the demons that tend to crop up in our creative lives. So I'm so proud of that.
That's so cool.
I created a course called Find Time to Write with fellow awesome person Heather Hildenbrand, and
Heather was on at the end of last year, and our community
yeah,
just ate up everything that she said, and she was talking about
brilliant. Yeah.
planning and how to separate, your writing time from your business time. And I know that you're going to talk more about the course, but that's a big
Yes.
component of it.
Hmm. Yeah, so she and I fused our brains to make this just kick-ass course. We're so proud of it. And it's basically designed around empowering authors to really take back control of their time management and their calendars and not be intimidated by their to-do list, or basically teaching how to not be overwhelmed and how to not approach burnout, because once you hit burnout, it's just, bad.
It is. It's hard to re-energize yourself after that.
Yep. And I'm also starting on a completely new series. I finished my debut series, The Grimoire Saga, last November.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And I'm rewriting the first book because it was my debut, so bits of it are pretty weak, and that will be out in February as well.
How are you going to market that if you don't? I'm so curious. I think that's
Sure.
amazing.
Basically, I'm going to do a fresh launch for it, and now that the entire Grimoire Saga is out, the changes that I'm making to the first book are going to make it more gripping from the start. Because before, and I totally admit this, it wasn't totally interesting until like chapter 8, which is like a huge no-no.
I think that's common though in first books, and like you got it out there, so you did it and you got it done, and that's crucial.
And now I'm actually figured out a way to make very, very minor changes that make it gripping from page, 1.
Very cool.
So I'm very proud of it now, and I'm very excited to get it out there and do the fresh marketing campaign.
I'm really excited to hear that you're doing that, and I think that that's incredible, and I think that that's very brave, because I think it's brave to spend the time to go back, and then it's brave to celebrate that and to say what you're saying, which is that, we all grow as writers, you hope. My gosh.
What you should, otherwise you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. 4 books later, you've obviously got a lot more experience writing, a lot more experience plotting, and you know how it all turned out. So I think that's fascinating, and I'm really excited to help you celebrate it and to see you celebrate it.
Thank you.
I think that's very cool. So, Lynn, EJ was just teasing you about having been around this business for 25 years, but you're not even that old. So, what do you see as the current state of the market, over the past, let's call it the past 6 months, and how long have you been, watching the publishing industry, and, what do you think is causing, like, all these people to just feel like they should be banging their head against the wall instead of hitting the word counts, which is what I'm seeing from a lot of friends.
Yeah, I'm hearing that and seeing that as well. And I've even experienced a touch of that what led to my December kind of break. I think the whole state of the publishing industry, whatever, I'm definitely not an expert in that, but I've been watching it. It just seems like people are trying so hard to get noticed, they're forgetting to have fun. Mm-hmm. I mean, we write because we love to write. Or, like Lord Byron says, if you don't write to empty your mind, you're going to go mad. But,
right.
When we kind of stop having fun and enjoying the process, we just start banging our head against the wall when things don't go our way, or, our release didn't go as well as we thought, or maybe we're not selling as much as we thought, or we start comparing ourselves. There's so much comparison out there that I feel like it just leads to, why am I doing this? Which would lead to burnout and dropping off the face of the earth and things like that.
So people sort of forgetting why they got into this in the first place, which is the words and the stories, not the marketing plan or the sales necessarily?
Yeah, or they focus so much on it that that's all their Twitter feed is, or that's all that's on Facebook. Here's my book, or here's a different book, or here. That's all great and stuff, but you got to have fun too, because you're more than just your writing. There's balance in there. So.
Well, and it's funny too, because I think, something that we're going to talk about later as far as managing stress and building a long-term career is a sense of community. And I feel like over the past year, I've been fortunate enough to be invited into a few communities, but some of them turn into just like promo churns. And I sort of looked at my feed last week and was like, wow, I somehow really have been spending a lot of time doing promo for myself and other people, and I love that. But I somehow have
Yes.
fallen off the snarky Twitter commentary that is what I love about Twitter. And it used to be like one promotional message for every 5 or 10 tweets, and now I don't know. It's not like that anymore, and I'm not having as much fun. So it's like you really have to take ownership of those things and pay attention.
Well, and if you're not having fun, it shows.
And
Yeah,
our Twitter
true.
friends are having mixed thoughts on whether writing's still fun too. I know that S. Usher Evans is saying her June release was an exercise in facing all the wrong things with herself and all the things she avoids, and that was really tough for her to write.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's the fun factor. The Gray Idris says, I still have fun writing, but sometimes I get discouraged because my plot is perfect, but the prose isn't there.
Oh.
That's
think we all face that.
We do all face that, but there's also like there's that self-criticism, and I know, Boyce, you must have something to say about this, but there's that like self-defeating self-criticism, and then there's the part that makes, okay, how can I make this better? So that's a tough balance.
But on the other end of the spectrum, LK, teach me how to do this. LK Lewis, author, says that she's starting to have fun again because she's in edits.
Woo, woo.
Right. But she's getting fresh
That's not
inspiration.
how it works.
I'm like, wait, I'm so tired of editing.
Editing makes me question my grasp of the English language. I just stare at words. I'm like, no, I don't want to use these words anymore.
Right? Or like you look at something and you're like, did I really do that? That's such a basic grammar thing. Really, did I?
Totally.
But I sometimes think those basic grammar mistakes, as long as you catch them, are okay because it means that you were really in the flow and you were thinking about character, plot, or dialogue.
True.
So they're forgivable as long as, you catch them. But my motto this year is I love editing because I actually hate it. And I'm trying to trick my brain.
Okay, let's chant that together at midnight under a full moon.
We're going to turn that into a mantra.
Because I hate it, I have like 4 written books that aren't ready to go anywhere. And that's not good either, That's not helpful for the long-term career growth. It means I've stalled on my own releases because I can't get through what's, for me, much harder than getting the words down. And I know other people feel opposite. Some people have a really hard time with that first draft, but they love ripping it apart and putting it back together. That's a lot of fun for them. And I don't know, some people also like to organize closets, and I wish I was one of those as well.
I love it.
Well, of the Wilds and the Gray Idris say it helps to write a story that you want to read so that you want to know how it ends.
That's actually how Hugh Howey said he got his start, because he approached this as a hobby and not as a career when he was first starting. And so the books that he wrote were books that he wanted in the marketplace. And it just happened to be that there were other people who agreed with him. And he kept it fun.
And I see that. I see that from a lot of people I know who say they used to be having fun, and then they had a book that they thought was going to do really well, and it didn't sell. So then they started trying to write for the market. And I think any creative professional will tell you that writing for the market can kill your soul because you never know what the market's going to respond to, and especially if it's taken time out of your life where you would have rather been spending on something that did come from your heart that you love. That is a tricky, tricky path to happiness because it certainly doesn't guarantee success.
It is tricky, but what I'm hearing from friends who are in the traditional publishing world is that their agents are telling them to pitch for what's in the market. And so it's about which world you're in and who you're reaching out to. And I think when you pick your path in publishing, you have to be cognizant of the expectations that come with each one. And when you go into traditional publishing, you're very often going to be instructed to write for the market. That's my understanding right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I should re-explain that. I don't actually think that there's a problem with writing to market if it's something that inspires you. If you have 3 ideas and you love them all equally and you need to decide what to choose to do next, and something is really like, ooh, I have a feeling that's going to catch on market-wise, then certainly, by all means, this is a business, and especially if you want it to be a long-term career, that's a good call to make. Mm-hmm. But I also see people who are literally like, oh my God, I hated 50 Shades of Grey, but I'm so going to write something to capture that audience.
They say it with that accent too, right?
They, of course, say it with that accent.
Well, now I hear a lot of people saying they're writing the Highlander stuff now because it did so well last year or 2 years ago or whatever it was.
But the people who are, in my opinion, my experience, the people who really manage to capitalize on trends like that are the people who are already in place to do so. So they're the people who already have husband or like books out there that maybe haven't gotten the right attention, or maybe have been sitting with an agent for 3 years, because they didn't sell in 2011, but like, oh my God, remember that book that you said you'd love if you wanted something Scottish? Here it is again.
Well, when dolphins make it big, I'm going to be able to say, I knew Amy when. And I have heard her do her dolphin call.
Nice.
Wait, I haven't heard this. Amy.
Oh, it's awesome.
No.
You can't see it, but I'm making a sad face.
ST's actually lying to you. She hasn't heard it. She's heard other people pretend to be me.
There's a video. I've heard there's a video.
There is not.
I've heard there's a video from
Amy panicked. A video from Michael Simcoe, who totally made this up. Okay, and this is where we get silly. So let's get. So did we miss anybody's good news? Because
we missed a slew of good news. Do we have time for it?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay. Pat Edson says, I finished revising, yay,
awesome.
and turned in book 1 in the Moonhill series to my editor today. So congratulations, Pat, that's huge. Anika Sharma says, release date for my book, May 15th, 2015, which will be 51515.
Ooh, I love that.
That's really awesome. Hold on, it jumped on me.
I'm a total sucker for stuff.
S. Usher Evans says, I confirmed appearances in Chattanooga, Indianapolis, and Chicago over the next 6 weeks, so who's going to come and see me?
Woo!
Damn, look at you go.
S. Pajonas says, I'm continuing to write at least 1,500 words per day, trying to prevent burnout by doing this slowly but surely. But I've got to say, I think 1,500 words a day is fantastic. So,
yes, awesome.
So you, girl.
I'm making her meet me for a writing date next Thursday. I'm very excited.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I know. You could come if you weren't, far.
Elsewhere. Deirdre Sparks says, my news this week. I announced on my blog my publishing deal with Skyscape for my YA novel, Sugar. Congratulations, Deirdre.
That's amazing.
Author Casey Bond says, Crazy Love. I like that title. Crazy Love is in the editor's hands for a Valentine's release. Yay!
Very cool.
Reading Inspiration says, it's either Reading Inspiration or Pat Edson. Never mind. I've read that one already. Yay, us! And L.K. Lewis says, I love, all caps, Rush Monroe on Instagram.
Oh. Yay! I'm having so much fun.
Can I just say something about the Valentine's release?
Yes.
Congratulations, and that's awesome. Just be very, very cognizant of the 50 Shades of Grey movie release also coming out around that time. You don't want to be competing.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Because you should just look out for that.
This falls to me into like career planning, and I know that there are times of the year that it feels like very choked up, and there are people who think that the 50 Shades release is going to make everybody go looking for like all kinds of similar books. And then there are people that think the 50 Shades movie release is going to have everybody who used to read books locked in the movie theater for 24 hours straight doing nothing but drooling. I don't know. I haven't yet predicted what I think is going to happen. How much do you think people, what could authors do to sort of like embrace that happening without being limited by it?
Sure. And it's a great question because we don't really know what's going to happen. It's just when there's that much money in marketing behind something and that many people are interested in it, you never want to be competing. You want to ride the coattails.
Right.
And it's very hard to do that effectively. It's very easy to mess up with it. We're actually doing that for the Losing It box set. That's why we're releasing February 11th. We're doing it before it comes out so that people who are excited for it and impatient can read the book while they wait.
Got it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's the foolproof plan, but I think it would be a mistake personally, and again, just me saying this, I think it would be a mistake to release on Valentine's Day or in the week after, because it would be such a competing. Everyone would be talking about the movie. There'd be a lot of buzz about the movie. People would be discussing it on Facebook. The thing is, with something that big, whether you love it or hate it, people are going to be talking about it. You're not going to help but hear about it, and that kind of chokes the market a little bit.
Got it. Okay, Lynn, what do you think about that? Because you've seen a few Valentine's Days come around, whether or not there's a huge movie like 50 Shades of Grey. It's obviously a very romance-centric time, and it's always a pretty big release time. Do you feel like the writing's on the wall for this year to really be different, or do you think it's always something, that you've been aware of in previous years?
I never have really given a lot of thought, and that's maybe unfortunate or not, about what's going on as far as movie-wise, because in my opinion, they go to the movie. And they may be talking about it, but, who knows? They may be anticipating it, so they're going to want to read stuff up until then. But after the movie, they're going to want to say, oh, what else is out there? This is that book? Holy crap, there's got to be a bunch of other books. Let's go find them. You just don't know, and I'm definitely not a marketing expert. I'll admit that plain as day. But it just seems like it would be cool to release before so that people have it leading up to Valentine's Day. As far as movies, there's always awesome movies in almost every genre that are releasing along with books. So maybe you can find a way to tie into it. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I don't know. What about you, ST? What do you think?
It is my fervent wish to make friends with the fellow Marvel fangirls. It is. I just really feel like they are my people, and if anyone will appreciate a book about Norse gods, it is the fellow Marvel fangirls. So if I'd been on it, I would have timed releases, sure, around Avengers, Thor, Iron Man, anything.
Totally.
Any of those movies, but I'm not, so I'm probably missing out on Avengers 2. But, you never know.
The thing is, I feel like your books have such a different mythology than superheroes. So I kind of know what you're saying, just because Scarzy,
Hello, right?
and Hitty, and all those beautiful boys.
Let's talk on
that. We can talk on that for a while.
Okay.
But you have so much more going on. So how do you mix those things?
Right. I'm a really big geek. Like, I like Shakespeare and I like Norse mythology, and I also love Disney. And when they bought Marvel, that was super cool for me. But I feel like there would be a fan base for me with the fellow nerd girls if I could find them. But I to date have not found that group. I'm finding more of the YA paranormal readers, I think, and a little bit of the steamy adult readers who for some reason don't mind that I don't have Steam, but I haven't clicked in with what I think would be my ideal target.
Well, and that's actually, that makes a lot of sense. And I think part of that, and this is just my opinion and something that I've been observing and something that we've got on the calendar for a few months from now, is sort of like new places to market. And I feel like this is sort of tied to burnout, emotionally, creatively, and sort of marketing-wise a little bit. Because when I first decided to publish, I was really interested in the idea of doing vertical marketing for my books based on all the different categories that are involved. And I have a big environmental spin. I have an animal spin. There's a surfing component. There's a science component, and I really haven't explored that outside of the fan base of readers. And I wonder, if you guys have managed to tap into that for your own books. But when I hear you say you're really looking to tap into the Marvel fangirl group, and you haven't really managed to do that, I wonder if that's so much because we get into these little circles of talking to each other.
We do. No, we absolutely do. There's so much that it's authors marketing to authors. And, if there was a way to find more of these reader-based groups and we were able to interact with them and say, hey, you might like this, you might not. My first is free. Give it a go. If you do, great. If you don't, no biggie. I think that would help us all.
Well, I'm not sure it needs to be readers. I don't know, Lynn or Boyce, if you have a thing on this, an opinion on this, but have you looked into marketing to YouTube videos that feature,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there are ways that none of us have, or not none of us, but I'm not seeing a lot of good examples, and these are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about for my marketing plans of this year, because I feel like I sort of feel like I haven't hit those targets that I was so interested in. And that's me not having taken the time and taken kind of the obvious like blog tour, this, that, and the other thing road that was working, a little while
Was is the key
ago.
word.
I
I don't
can
know
tell
if
you
Exactly.
where.
are in anymore. It's like, what are you interested in? What are you writing about? What do you love? I love paranormal. I love Avengers. So I'm following
God,
hashtags.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Let's
I'm
vote on them.
watching hashtags with
Bendy, you're
Avengers
hilarious.
and Arrow and all that stuff, and I'm getting to know them and hanging
Okay,
out
so
with
you are.
them. Yeah.
What about you, Boyce? Like, where do you
Oh,
look for new people to talk to about the things that your books are about?
I'm actually trying a new kind of experiment this year. Really becoming acquainted with Facebook ads. The thing with Facebook is that when people click on an ad, they want something free. And so
Totally.
now that I have a loss leader, the first book in the Grimoire Saga is free, I can start speaking to them. So I can go to everything from the librarians TV show to movies to books to other authors to business coaches, wherever I think my readers are, and whatever other interests influence their lives. I have this massive, incredible document with all my theories. Um, I can
I
really
love it.
be in a lot of different places, and it's not just Facebook. Google Plus, no, I don't think they have ads yet. I take that back. But Pinterest just introduced ads. They're in beta. YouTube is really good with ads. You have to market a video, but you can have a video talking about your book and market it to people with specific interests.
But you can also buy small ads on other people's videos.
That's right at the top, right, isn't it? That's where
Yeah,
this.
or at bottom, it depends. But the thing that does for you, and this is something if you haven't looked into it, you might want to look into it, is that in a way that buying Google AdWords used to really like increase your visibility in Google, because YouTube is owned by Google. Those ads give you the same visibility, so they give you a boost immediately because they do get you, hopefully somebody's interested in your ads or maybe not, but they also add to your SEO in a way that Facebook doesn't necessarily.
Right.
I'm not comparing their apples and
No,
oranges,
they're
but
apples and
this is
oranges
something
entirely, but they each have their own benefits. And
they
I
do,
know
and
that's
they're
not much of a, like, it's not me going out and talking to people, and I really appreciate that relatable experience is when you go and you talk and you meet new folks. But it is another way to expand your reach on a larger level.
And I think there's something, if you are going to go and try to introduce yourself to a new group of people, for me at least, like there are some, fan communities on Tumblr that I'm really interested in and that I've been kind of a casual member of for years, but just as like a random person, not as an author. So it seems kind of
Right.
weird to step in now and say, ooh, look at me, read my books. It feels uncomfortable to me.
And yeah, and that's the point, is when you do get to the point where you're like, you kind of ingratiated yourself into the group, they're more than just people in a group. It feels like promo when you start to talk about yourself, and that's never really welcome in those groups. So I don't
Exactly.
really know how you transition besides talking to people individually.
I think talking to people individually, and I think what I'm going to try to do, or at least part of my plan, is I noticed that especially on Tumblr, which is an interesting example, that it's
Oh
sort of a
God, please
microcosm.
teach me the Tumblr. It is so far
You
above my
can't do it
technology
from your
brain.
flip phone,
Me, the
baby.
Tumblr,
Oh
that's my new
man,
favorite phrase.
they won't let me on the Instagram either because of the flip phone. It's so rude.
Did you see the
Oh my
internship?
god.
Did you see the
Yes,
internship,
when
ST?
they're playing Quidditch.
That's my favorite thing. Like, I would do anything to play in
Oh
that
my
game of Quidditch.
Lord.
But we're thinking of Vince Vaughn when he's like, take the pictures and put them on the line.
Well, my problem is I'll write my characters referring to these things as the Google and the Facebook, and then the betas come back and they're like, she's not a grandma, don't call it that. I'm like, but that's what I call it.
But your
Oh, the
characters are not always
Instagram. Oh
you.
my god.
But I did make my poor character have a flip phone.
That's awesome. I have a really pretty flip phone. I'm going to take a picture. I found it in the move. I was like, I have to take a picture of this ST. It's like got stripes and everything. You're going to love it.
Oh, I want to see your pretty flip phone.
I'll send it to you later.
Thank you.
Oh, but
When we can, Twitter has some interesting tips for helping out with your thwarted writing mojo.
now, let's hear it now.
Excellent. LK Lewis says, well, oh, wait, hold on just a second. I will find.
How's the weather?
Wow. Okay, ST just like totally
Much weather.
went away. So we were talking about the tips that Twitter has for how to get your writing mojo back. And luckily, I can see what some of those things are. Well, I think
it was actually more Twitter was saying what causes them to lose their writing mojo, like the things that really are stumbling blocks for them. So.
Okay, so we've got L.K. Lewis as stress, negative writing community. Okay, I don't know who you people are in the negative writing community, but I love this community and everybody's always happy in my world, so I just choose to never see it. It's very helpful to be in denial about mean people. I highly recommend it.
Don't let anybody pop your bubble.
We've got lack of vitamin D. That's a big one for me. ST, are you back?
I am. I'm so sorry. Yes.
Don't apologize. It's all good.
Deidre suggests that things that frustrate her are lack of vitamin D, negative feedback, but they're easily remedied. And the last is just buck up and write hard. D.A. Boda tells us the business industry promo poop, and anyone in chat.
Lyrical. Oh, that's prose.
When I forget rarely, it's supposed to be an art burst.
Oh, that's funny. I love it.
I think anyone that hashtags businessy industry promo poop for the rest of the night should get a special prize.
Please. I know. Frostbite book right there.
Beatrice Gray says external stressors, illness, getting distracted by reading. Oh man, yes. And then being intimidated by how good those writers are. Here's my question for you guys. Do you still read, and how do you find time to read? How do you balance it with your writing and your business and your marketing, and how do you do it all?
Oh yeah, got to read, got to keep on reading to see what's out there. But yeah, you can fall into the intimidation big time. Oh man, I'm never gonna write as good as that person. Oh, they got the New York Times bestseller. Am I ever gonna get that? Once you see yourself spiraling, it's hard to get out. That's where the community helps, like hugely. Yep. I just choose to surround myself by positive people so I don't fall into that spiral. It's so easy. But yeah, you got to keep reading always.
Well, and Arlee's wondering Arlee Bird from Twitter is wondering to what extent your marketing efforts interfere with your writing. So piggybacking on the reading trend, what about marketing? How do you balance all of it?
So this is
Boyce
actually
kind of like the mistress of this.
Yeah, Boyce, this is what your class is about, right?
I want to answer this right now. So I think one of the things we talk about in the Find Time to Write class, this is a huge thing we talk about, blocking out your time basically gives you control over your schedule. So you want to find like a block of 2 or 3 hours every week consistently where you read, or a block every other day where you write. Whatever works for you, you need to set up a system that lets you basically control what you do within those times. And granted, that's not going to work for everybody, but it is a very powerful technique that millionaires use, and it has made all the difference for me too, and a lot of my clients that I work with. I'm a coach too.
I've heard that too. It's an awesome technique.
It really is.
You just write down like from 7 to 8, I'm going to read. From 8 to 9, I'm going to do social media. From 9 to 10, I'm going to respond to emails. And then if you don't finish what you don't finish, too bad, you move on to the next thing no matter what.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing, because it's so tempting to be like, oh, well, there's just 2 more emails, I'll just finish them. But that's not, your blocking just crumbles in your hands if you don't adhere to like the hard end time of that block.
God, it kind of sounds really empowering. Like, I'm done with you no matter what, so too bad, I'm moving on.
It can wait. Really, very rarely do you encounter something in email that cannot wait. Exactly. I think email is the biggest rabbit hole we get sucked into. That and Facebook, that and social media.
Facebook, I think.
Yeah. Or Instagram.
If you're Lynn,
you can't get on.
Or
you
organizing Twitter chats.
Exactly.
Wait, did I say that? Did I say that out loud?
And you know, like, set a timer too. If that helps, when the timer goes off, just close it. Done.
Timers are lifesavers in my household.
I'm shutting this damn thing down at 10 sharp. All right? You guys have been warm. You got like 40 minutes.
We're just gonna cut off mid-sentence.
The other thing, and I'm horrible at this, so I'm speaking in my like wish list of why I think this would be a good idea if I could pull it off. The thing that I love about I know a few people were talking last week about having a word for the year instead of a resolution.
Totally.
I love that.
I love it too. And my word.
You mean like I love editing?
Yeah. Well, that's my mantra.
Got it.
But my word for the year for me is savor. because I'm constantly doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. So I will have a day that I could be writing, but I'll get sucked into a book. And then I'll feel guilty for reading, even though reading is an essential part of who I am, because I should have spent that time. It's a whole bunch of like chasing the shoulds, you know? So I'm really trying to focus on like whatever I am doing, I'm really trying to enjoy it. So I've really tried to block out the past month to like move and sort of reestablish my family in a new place and sort of going like, I have made the space for this and it's a little scary, but I'm going to enjoy the new of it. You know, I'm not trying to pile too much into my days. And now I'm eager to get writing again, but hey, what do you know? We've got 2 days off from school and I'm going away. And I'm not going to, you know, bring my computer and try to rush through that. I'm really going to be like, nope, I have this time away. I'm really going to try to enjoy it. So in theory, you know, what scheduling the way that Boyce talks about should do is not just give you space to get everything done, but the time to look forward to it. So like, I'm not going to read now because I know that I've got 2 hours scheduled tomorrow, and if I get everything done, then I can really enjoy that, as opposed to the way that I do it, where I feel like I'm like sneaking it, even though I'm only my own boss. You know, I'm not beholden to anybody else.
Well,
so that's
Chris Fox just told us that for those of us that can't like focus as well as you, Amy, apparently there are Chrome extensions to block you from social media.
sweet.
No, there are so many. There are Mac apps, there are PC apps, there are Chrome extensions, there's Safari. Like, there's so many tools you can use, and
you can parental control yourself.
You can parental control yourself, and actually, it's funny. Like, an entire third of one of the weeks in Find Time to Write is just dedicated to showing you the tools. Like, that's how many there are. There's something perfect for you out there.
I just turn off my Wi-Fi if I need to write. I mean, I can't if
that would never work for me.
Why not?
I research while I write.
I usually have to separate those things.
And you know, everybody's different. That's what's so great. You know,
Yeah.
I love that works for you. I would crumble and cry.
I have to look up certain spellings. I still can't spell Jormungandr, nor should I be able to.
I think you can go to sleep at night
I have
with
to
that.
look it up. Jormungandr.
Bless you.
Yeah. So, Lynn, how did you know? Everybody on Twitter is talking about like the things that start to get to them. How did you know? You said you were experiencing a little bit of burnout before you gave yourself the month of December off. How did you know it was time for that?
Well, you know, I was just tired a lot. I didn't feel like exercising, and for me, that's humongous because I'm all about the exercise. But I didn't really even look forward to getting up and doing any kind of exercise. I was irritable too. You can ask my husband on that one. It just, I don't know. I just felt blah, kind of like a little heavy depression. And I never get depressed. I mean, I'm known for, you know, being super positive online, but I just kind of said, you know, wait a minute. I don't even want to get online. Okay, there's a problem. So I just sat back and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So I just sat back and said, I gave myself permission. I think that is the hugest thing you can give yourself is permission, because we're human. Okay, we're not perfect. We need a little downtime. So.
And I think it's hard when you work for yourself and when you work, like, for me, there's definitely something very, like, invigorating about writing every day. And if I take too much time off, I get lost at the point in the story. And even if it's just a little bit of time, it does, like, it's like that momentum is so crucial to what we do that it makes it hard to take time off. It's hard to figure out how you can fit in a breather.
I've always lived by the motto, you have to write every day. I've always lived by that for, 5 years now that I've been writing.
Wow. So this was a really big deal for you.
It was. I mean, I've published 12 novels. I've got 12 novels out there in 5 years. So, I mean, I lived by that hugely. But after my month hiatus, once I started realizing why I was irritable, I wasn't seeing my friends as much and things like that, I closed everything out in November and said, okay, December, it's just this. So I'm going to finish everything out like I'm going on vacation, like people do, even writers. But, I mean, I wrote 40,000 words in 1 week, my first week back.
Holy Mary!
There's I didn't lose much. And during that whole month I had off, I was dreaming, I was thinking, I was, jotting a couple notes down if I had like a sentence or a funny name or something. So, I mean, I got those so they got out of my head and I didn't think about it and worry about forgetting them. But I mean, 40,000 words in 7 days.
That's amazing.
That's huge for me. And I attribute the rest and the goofing around on internet and having fun with people and relaxing with my husband and playing with my dog, I attribute that 40,000 words to that.
So do you think, is this changing the way you feel now about writing every day, or are you just planning to take next December off again?
No, I still have the motto, write every day, as long as it doesn't interfere with your balance of everything else, as long as you're still exercising, as long as you're still, your friends remember what you look like when they see you the next time, as long as there's balance, write every day. It does help your flow. I still believe in that. But for me, it got to be writing like too much every day, and it was sucking from my relationships and things like that. So you gotta have balance.
Yeah. And I know for me, like when I stop exercising, then all of a sudden, like I don't get any writing done. So
and it doesn't help with the whole weight gain thing either, because writing is a very sedentary thing. So if you're gaining weight, that's not going to help either. So.
Well, and Twitter's weighing in too. They're talking about warning signs of burnout over there.
Yeah.
And the Idris Gray says when there's too much dialogue and not enough action, or too much action and not enough dialogue, or you just want to skip to the end, you're burnt out.
Nice.
Hey, Chris Fox says when you have the ideas and the energy to write, but you just can't sit down in order to do it, then you're burned out. And LK Lewis says sitting down to write, but going ugh later is a sign she knows she's totally burned out too.
So true.
I think that it's I think that another sign of burnout can often be reflected in the way you view your creative work.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a story that you were super passionate about. And I think that this is common in writing when you spend a lot of time with a story. You can burn out on it, and that's just part of the process. For some people, that's when they know it's ready for the editor. I don't know. But, in other cases, it really makes you question what you've been working on and something that you cared about and something that you love. So how do you guys recommend people deal with that feeling? Like, what can you do to get your mojo back about that specific, it's not that it sucks. It's not, it's like you just don't feel the love.
How do you get your mojo back? That's awesome.
I think that's when you really need to see and reflect on the self-love that you're practicing every day, because I think self-love is something we kind of brush to the side and we're like, oh, that's hippie woo-woo, that's nonsense. But really sitting and taking care of yourself and something that's rejuvenating and regenerating is something you have to do every day, or you do risk getting burnout and just losing the why of what you do, losing the joy in what you do. And that can be as small as just taking a walk outside. Like, it's really cold where I am, and all I have to do is 2-minute walk, and I'm like, my head's clear.
Oh, totally.
Interesting. So you're suggesting that there's something for all of us that we can use as like a little practice, whether it's meditation or exercise, but you've got to have like something, like for me sometimes going to a movie by myself can help like make me remember what I love about stories. And then it reminds me what I love about my stories, and that's kind of helpful. But finding something that feels good for you and relying on that, is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, and not even always focusing on relaxation, because I think relaxation is a part of it, and that's what a lot of stress management classes teach you, is how to relax. But when you're in the moment, if you're in the office, or if you're live on an interview, or if you're in a place where you can't step away and go take a bubble bath, you need something else to help you kind of recenter.
Right, you can't leave the office for that.
Right. And I've actually been, just over the last year, I've been experimenting with like everything under the sun just to see what works. And I really recommend that. Just try everything and see what you like.
Okay.
Take breaks during the day, or try AIT or tapping or heart math, which are all these new kind of sciences that are cropping up around relaxation and stress management and kind of recentering yourself.
What's AIT?
And what's heart math?
Yeah.
And what's tapping?
It all sounds so interesting. So I admittedly don't remember what AIT stands for, but it's this really great therapeutic technique where you basically wash out the unconscious stories that are blocking you. So that's more of a therapist thing.
I was gonna say, can you do that by yourself, or does it have to be
You-
led by someone else?
I think it has to be led. I'm still pretty new to it, so I'm not totally sure. You know, probably shouldn't have said AIT because I don't
No,
actually
I mean,
know a lot
I
about
would
it.
love to quiet my mind. I have no idea how to do that. That would be great.
Tapping actually might be better for that then, because tapping is where you tap on uh, points around your face, your neck, and your hands, and it basically serves as almost like acupuncture points without the needles, which I love.
How
I don't
many
like
of us are
needles.
doing that right now? Because I totally admit I am now.
I know now. I'm like tapping my hand.
If you tap like,
I'm like, I don't know where the points are, but I'm tapping my
just
face.
start tapping.
Okay, that's me too.
But yeah, look up tapping, and I'll try to find some research on it. Maybe you can tweet it later.
Yeah, that'd be
But
great.
it's a really nice way to just kind of like release frustration around something. And I use it a lot.
It's rhythmic and it's physical, and it's like that, like there's a connection of a different kind.
Yeah, and I do I do recommend getting coaches for these because they can teach you the proper way to do it. And
We're gonna tap on the wrong points, Amy, and get more stressed.
You're gonna just know. I'm kidding.
Or just paralyzed.
I'm giving awful advice.
Nothing to worry about there. Just stop your heart, ST. I chimed in to ask the guest something from Twitter. Where do you guys side on this? So Twitter, we're talking about, when you have the issues, the cases of I sucks, those kinds of things that we all go through from time to time. Some people are saying, I know you can either power through the points you get stuck at in a story, like if you're writing and it's just not working, like you're sitting there and the words aren't coming and you just don't want to do it. But there are also people that say, somebody mentioned having multiple projects, like at any one point, and if you get too stuck, jumping to a different project. Where does our panel side on that? Is it good to just keep hammering at something and eventually you'll get it worked out, or is there a point you should cut ties and try something else?
I'm for sure a power through it. I just recently, in this story I wrote the first week here in January, I hit a roadblock. And I'm like, I don't like where this character's going. The words aren't coming. And I powered through it, and I wrote a completely horrible scene that, oh my gosh, this is so not this character. But I kept going, and I just made a note saying, oh, we're going to go this direction, and the words just started flowing again. It's almost like, for me, and how I work is I power through the crap, and then I get to the good stuff, like okay, this is better. This is the route I want to go. I'll fix it during my edits. So for me, to power through releases what is actually in my head. It's just buried by the junk.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lynn.
So
I think powering through is the most powerful thing you can do.
But you really feel like the powering through drives you, and that's critical.
Yeah.
It's like part of your process.
You guys write in sequence, right? Then you write from the beginning of the book to the end.
Well, no, actually, not always. I don't always.
I do, and I can't work on multiple projects at the same time. My brain doesn't work that way.
I actually think it's, and it works for some people, but I think it's distracting, and I think it might even be a form of self-sabotage to work on multiple projects, because I see a lot of folks in my circles who haven't finished a book yet. They say, I'm working on 3 novels, and I'm not getting anything done. I'm like, well, it's because you're working on 3 novels. You're jumping from one to the next and starting new ones instead of focusing on one and finishing.
Well, that's definitely me. I mean, I had a very hard time with the follow-up to my debut novel, and meanwhile I've got a whole other novel that I've written, like trying to be like, well, I'll just give these other characters a voice for a few minutes, and
I really want to read that other novel, by the way, Amy, whenever it's available. I'm just saying I want to be on your short list of people getting the email that it's now available.
Yes, you will, for both. They're very different. But, part of me was like, well, writing something is better than writing nothing. And, that's true, and that goes with Lynn's idea of, like, writing every day. We all know there are some days that you just powering through does not always work. But then I agree totally, Boyce, that, it can leave you feeling very unfulfilled.
Well, even if it's just, like I taught a mind mapping your way to strong characters a couple months ago at a conference. And one thing that really stuck out to the audience that is really helpful, and it can help power you through the stump and the feeling frustrated with whatever, is to be your character and journal as if you're the character for like a week. And you're still writing, you're developing
Yeah.
the character, and the story's going to throw in there, but journal as if you are the character, and it'll help plow through some of the issues you might be facing.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that a lot.
I've done a little bit of like writing letters, or one of the things sometimes I would do when I would get blocked is I would like, you know, there are places where you could be online like you are your character a little bit, and that was helpful for a while. But I think
Very. I mean, think about like my 17-year-old ice slinging girl in Frostbite. You know, her friends are having fun, they're going on dates and stuff, so her daily journals are going to be, oh yeah, another day at school where I almost froze somebody in the swim class. You know, and they're going to be talking about that. And then the next day they're at coffee and I almost froze my mug, you know, because a guy looked at me, or, you know, just whatever. And so that's what my journal entries are like when I'm in Mandy's head. So it just helped a lot to get deep.
It's really cool that you do that, because I kind of do a similar twist on that, I guess. I have a journal, and I just, whenever I'm stuck on a problem with a story, instead of powering through the prose, I just kind of free flow in the journal and work out the possibilities and how I
Totally.
can get around it. So I have
Well,
this massive journal of that.
I think that's a powerful way of switching mediums for me. It can be a really powerful way to get unstuck. You know, just like if I'm stuck on the computer, going to a notebook and writing by hand will sometimes, you know, get rid of the distractions. And on Twitter, I know that Pat's Eston, I'm messing up her name, but she had a really good point. And she said when she loses her story love, it usually means she's gone wrong somewhere, so she backs off.
Oh, that's insightful.
Good.
Yeah, and that happens to me like scene by scene sometimes if I feel like, oh my God, why is it taking me like 5 hours to write 1,000 words in this one scene? It's usually because that scene has no business being a story, and I'll like take a different turn and usually get back on track.
And that can even happen to people who plot. Like, I don't know if you're a plotter or pantser, but I'm a like plotter, chronic plotter.
I can see that.
I'm so a pantser.
And with Illusion, I wrote it backwards. I wrote it's my latest book. I wrote the second half first and then the first half. But when I was going through the first half, I was like, this is boring as bricks, and I can't figure out why. And it's because there was an element of a fight scene that was staged in the beginning as practice and actually implemented in the second half, and it was too similar. So I was like, oh, okay, I just need to rework this. And
nice.
It was a nice indicator that, yeah, what I had even plotted wasn't good enough.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And actually,
but you got yourself out of it.
I did, yeah. Thanks in part to my amazing husband. We brainstormed everything.
Sweet.
I saw you post about that. I thought that was awesome.
He's wonderful.
I met him. He was pretty wonderful.
I'll let him know.
He was very sweet and not at all intimidated, sitting there with a whole bunch of girls who were like, way too excited to see each other.
He is a rock. He's my rock, yeah.
So we've gone through a lot of things, you guys, tonight, but when it comes to like keeping your stuff together and keeping your butt in a chair and keeping, your career on track, what do you think? What's your like last bit of wisdom for everybody? It doesn't have to be brilliant. It just has to be like what you think of after our entire conversation.
Just keep swimming.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dory.
Anytime.
It's true though.
But it's true. Like, just keep swimming.
Just
keep
keep
writing.
Totally.
Keep networking. Keep cheerleading for your friends, because that, honestly, like, when we're supporting each other, I feel like that benefits everybody. And it just, you see your friends have these great successes, and you're so excited for them, and it pushes you to work even harder, and just keep swimming.
That's why we do this every week, because it invigorates all of us to like celebrate writing and talk about writing and get to pick brilliant people's brains. It always gets me back on track if I.
Well, and sometimes you need to change your chair too. If you're not wanting to get your butt in a chair, sit on an exercise ball, stand. Whatever it takes. I wrote some while I'm riding on my stationary bike.
How do you do that?
I propped it up on the handlebars. It looked ridiculous, but I got to type. So sometimes you just have to change your chair.
I love that, Lynn, though. Like, if putting your butt in the chair isn't working, like get a new chair, because that's talk about your profound brilliance. Like, it's so simple, but it's
exercise balls are the best, you guys. Seriously,
I sit on an exercise ball.
Stand in it, and then you bounce up and down when you're getting frustrated.
Yeah,
Just
And
don't
if you
bounce
get
up down too hard, it'll
drumsticks,
pop.
no, drumsticks in an exercise ball can really solve problems.
Totally.
Yeah. What about you, boys?
I would say surround yourself with a positive community because
Yeah.
when you're surrounded with like-minded people, they raise you to a higher caliber. They help keep you positive and they help keep you in a mindset that pulls you out of those dark spaces of self-doubt and fear. And that's actually one of the reasons I started the Haven is because I wanted people to know that they're not alone, that they can work through the problems that are holding them back and actually succeed, actually write that book, actually get on a best-selling list, actually network with people and not be afraid to reach out.
That's awesome. ST, besides our friendly Dory advice, what else?
Oh gosh, I just count on friends. You know, I'm so grateful for everybody that we've met through this experience, and I feel like when we get together and we talk, it really does it. I don't know, it sounds so cheesy, but like it fills your energy cup, you know? Like
Yeah.
you just
Totally
you
does.
you have all
It
these warm
does.
fuzzies and you're like, oh man, I just heard what Boyce does and I'm totally inspired to, try these things. And you know what? Like, yeah, Lynn says move the chair, get a different chair. Okay,
Yeah.
I have an exercise ball. I'm gonna try it that way. And like just talking to other writers and seeing what they're doing and sharing information about what works and what doesn't. Like I don't know, it inspires me. So I would imagine it probably inspires a few more people too.
You
Well,
bet.
I
I hope
thank
so.
all of you guys so much. You've had so many great things to say tonight, such good words of wisdom, and I think that this has been a great chat to get everybody thinking of like what's next and how to stick it out. And for everybody who's maybe listening to this right now or in a few weeks from now or in a few days from now, it's the beginning of January. It's the beginning of a new year. It's a whole new chance. And there's no reason to hold on to any frustrations that you've been feeling because it's not going to matter. The frustration is just going to make you heavier, It's not going to make you keep going in the direction that you want to be. So try to let it go. ST,
Let it
don't start
go, find a
singing.
friend, give a warm hug. Reindeers are better than people.
They are, actually. Dolphins are definitely better than people. And
Dolphins are better than people?
yeah, that's not a song, though. Not
I
yet.
didn't think so. I was okay.
Thank you,
Checking.
SM Boyce. Thank you, Lynn
Yes,
Rush.
Happy
absolutely.
to be here.
Thank you, Amy, for leading our chat today.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you, ST Bende and EJ Wesley and Chris Fox, who is out there with LK Lewis and Twitter, helping you guys in the Twitter chat. And thank you to everyone who's tweeting and listening and joining us this week. We will be back with all kinds of inspirational boosts in the month of January. And for February, we are tackling a very important topic all month long. Just when you're getting ready for tax time, we're going to be talking about the financial side of writing and why you need to concentrate on lots of important things to really make this a business. But before that, we're just going to keep doing what ST suggested and keep filling up that cup with inspiration and good ideas and ways to get you really motivated to make the absolute most of this year. But until next week, I'm Amy Evans. Thank you for listening and have a good night.